Welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today we have Action Comics number 255 from August 1959, written by Otto Binder and art by Al Plastino, and this one is called The Bride of Bizarro, and it's kind of a follow-up to issue 254. Me bring you bouquet of flowers, Lois. Bizarro want to marry you. Great Scott! Does the creature of steel mean the real Lois or the imitation Lois? Which one is Bizarro in love with? So, once again, Bizarro stalks the Earth, an imperfect replica of Superman, fashioned out of lifeless matter, pathetic and dangerous. Both the super creature is dangerous. Both the super creature is a blundering menace, and even the Man of Steel is unable to destroy the Thing of Steel. But Superman's problems grow worse as the super creature searches the world for the Bride of Bizarro. So again, this is a follow-up and a little bit of a recap. So Bizarro in the previous story or issue created a duplicate of himself because Lois Lane couldn't love him because of the way he looks, but also obviously because of the way he talks and thinks. So this imperfect version of Bizarro has an imperfect mind but looks like Superman. So that's who she's there kissing. Meanwhile, Superman is under the effects of kryptonite, so he can't move. Bizarro is not affected by the kryptonite, and Superman can't do anything. Finally, Lois figures it out when he says, "Us be married right away, Lois. Me fly you to Metropolis." Goodness, if I'm hearing right, you can't be Superman. You must be Bizarro, with your face changed somehow. Huh? How you guess? So Bizarro pops up there and explains that this is new Bizarro. And new Bizarro says, "Well, what is difference? Me still handsome, you lucky girl if you marry me." "Never, you conceited thing. As a matter of fact, I like the first Bizarro better than you." "Fool girl, even I be better than ugly monster like you." So they start having a fight. This is Bizarro versus new Bizarro, but they are both invulnerable. The Navy is nearby, and they start using weapons from the Navy, with torpedoes, but they don't do anything. Bizarro smashes a submarine over, hopefully it was empty, smashes a submarine over new Bizarro to no effect. Meanwhile, Lois is trying to move the kryptonite away, but she is simply too weak, so original Bizarro simply kicks it, and it hits another rock and explodes into dust. "Me wants Superman's help against new Bizarro. Maybe us both together can destroy him." "It's a deal, Bizarro. My super strength will return in a moment." However, that dust created from the kryptonite kind of engulfs new Bizarro, and he is entirely destroyed. Superman is a little bit confused, but then says, "I get it. New Bizarro was such a perfect imitation of me, physically, if not mentally, that he too was vulnerable to kryptonite. In fact, he was apparently super vulnerable because he just disintegrated rather than got sick. But Bizarro himself isn't Superman. You can't get rid of him that easily. Take me away before he returns." Bizarro is still at large. I'll have to watch for him if he returns here. So she goes back to her apartment, and meanwhile, Bizarro has this idea that, based on what she said earlier, that she likes him better than new Bizarro, that she is secretly in love with him. And so he is infatuated and grabs this, I guess, giant metal flower and starts pulling the petals off. She loved me not. She loved me not. Then he decides to get a present for Lois and flies to Pluto and grabs a rainbow flower, brings it back, but unfortunately the seeds start popping off violently. She tells Bizarro, "My apartment is a mess. Go, Bizarro. I never want to see you again. Never. Understand?" Choke. She made Lois angry. Me made Lois angry. Me spoiled everything. So he leaves. But the pods are still popping off dangerously. Superman shows up and gets rid of the flower. And she explains that it came from Bizarro. "I'd better find Bizarro and chase him out of town, or he'll keep pestering you, Lois." But she doesn't think he'll come back because she told him to get the hell away. But he has a different plan. He does have many of the memories of Superman, so he knows that Superman is Clark Kent. So he goes to Superman's apartment and dresses as Clark Kent to visit Lois because he thinks, well, she told Bizarro, but she didn't, or I guess he thinks he's just going to try and trick her. Does not realize that even as Clark Kent, he's obviously Bizarro. So he goes to the Daily Planet, and a guard asks who he is, and he tries to say, but Superman uses his super clap to drown out the noise, because if he says he was Clark Kent, then the guard would start to get suspicious about the connection between Clark Kent and Superman. So Bizarro tries to just fly in through the window, and Superman takes that opportunity to use his X-ray vision to just burn off his clothing. So when he arrives, he is simply without costume, just Bizarro. Bizarro, you again. I said I never want to see you again. Can't you understand I'm in love with the real Superman, not an lifeless imitation like you. Get out. But he just grabs her up, and he's going to take her to an island. He says, you stay here. Me see Superman coming. Me fight him. If you change mind, it will be Miss Bizarro. Wave white flag for signal, and me come back. So they end up getting in another fight, which I don't know why Superman bothers, because he can't hurt Bizarro. He uses things as weak as a harpoon gun. And then Bizarro smashes him with an anchor, and Superman uses cannons, which again is ridiculous. Bizarro smashes it's a wooden figurehead of a ship, so apparently there's a USS Superman ship. And Lois decides she has a plan, and she uses the duplicator machine to duplicate herself. White flag waving, forget fight, Superman, you lose. That is signal from Lois that she will marry Bizarro. So he flies back to Lois. Bizarro, my love, marry me. Lois, what are you saying? Don't do it, Lois. After all, someday maybe you and I will... You may be Miss Superman, Lois. You love me. Oh, he finds out this is a duplicate of Lois. So Bizarro says, come, dear, we not be happy on Earth where people fear us. Me take you to live by ourselves on another world in faraway solar system. Bizarro Lois is only composed of lifeless matter, so she won't die in space. Whew. That gets rid of Bizarro forever. Very clever, Lois. So I think he's saying that she will cease to exist but not die because she's not alive. I think that's what... But of course, there's way more Bizarro stories. Those two imperfect creatures will be perfectly happy together, and I will be too, if you carry out the promise that you blurted out before. Remember, Superman? Sure, Lois, you've got me pinned down at last. As I said, I may marry you someday, which may not be for years. I'm not as lucky as the imperfect Lois. She got her man right away. Maybe she is going to stay alive. So I have another book here that I thought I would show that I had no idea until I bought it was a thing. Tales of the Bizarro World. And so this is from 1961 and 1962. All of these are from Adventure Comics. And they are just the adventures of the Bizarro planet. And I would really like to go through this, particularly if people have a positive reaction to it. We've got Bizarro Luthor. We've got Bizarro Mr. Mxyzptlk, Bizarro Crypto, even Bizarro Titano. This is fun. And Superman, I don't think Superman appears in any of these. So it wouldn't be part of the Superman, but it is Adventure Comics, and they are a lot of fun, pretty crazy. Again, absolute peak Silver Age stuff. So I may actually go on to do this sooner rather than later, but I would like to get some feedback from people on their thoughts about Tales of the Bizarro World, and if they'd ever heard of this before. So anyway, that's a little more Bizarro fun, and until next time.